And very welcome to the Aquarian. This is sacred ground, space, time that we are setting apart for our spiritual, soulful, psychological self healing. I know that sounds new agey, but ultimately, healing is what we need. We are constantly bombarded with trauma, and some traumatic situations have been more intense than others in our lives. And we're not really, believe, taught how to deal with it that well, or with it at all. So lots of suppression happens, repression, and then these wounds erupt as they fester beneath the surface and erupt in ways that cause ourselves harm and others even worse. So we come here to make strides, to live towards a life of virtue, veer, of life. Um, we worship a God of the living. This is the Aquarian season. And as we expound and reflect upon this season, so too will we further hash out what the Aquarian is, what an Aquarian is, what Aquarianism is. Namely, humanitarian. I think we can all gather on that part, hopefully, which reveals, emphasizes, expounds upon the allegorical, metaphorical, metaphysical meanings of sacred scriptures, especially the Bible. Because the literal translation of the Bible has got us into a real humdinger of a place where we have a God who has chosen one race of people, so a totally racial, supremic God who wants to wipe out all the other nations. The Goyim, Amalek, Esau, Cain, Egypt, Greece, Rome, Europe, Germany, Russia, Ukraine, America. So that's how we're politically active in one way. We don't go off into spiritual la la land and say that's all negative energy. You know what? They do teach not to get angry in the mystical traditions, as it is a sign of unhealthy ego, perhaps. That's what we're trying to do here. It seems like in the spiritual traditions to annihilate, in the East would use that word, the ego, which is this persona, this mask that we have so identified with that we become it. Really, idolatry. We make an idol out of our personality. And then lots of the suffering, perhaps all of it, that we experience is because of that. Because of what's true, authentic, keyword for Aquarianism, is It doesn't get hurt, I don't think. I mean, it gets hurt when we go against it, yeah. So it does get hurt a lot, actually. Aquarianism, in some senses, it's it takes on the Gnostic traditions because they teach on the esoteric allegorical meanings of these things, which have been reserved for the few, the elite, the in the know, the secret societies. One thing Aquarian does, it's revolution, and it is like revelation. Revelation, my friends. However, you express Aquarianism is probably going to look like the environment you came out of. Mine's the Christian West, the Judeo-Christian West. And so and then through the lens of the Roman Catholic Church, via my Polish and Irish background, which has been fucking wiped out. Thank you very much. I don't know shit. We don't know. God, the church wiped out so much of our history. Mm, mm. And especially against whatever wasn't from the Hebrew. We all adopted some foreign history. And Christianity is like, oh, we've been grafted on. Or Islam. We're children of the mystery. We're bastard children, dog. In Islam. Christianity is like, oh, my ancestors weren't chosen by God. They were the Gentiles, the heathens, the bad person in the Bible. Oh man, we've been bamboozled. Personally, I don't know if this is so Aquarian, but getting in touch with our ancestral roots. Oh yeah, to better know thyself. For the self-individuation process. See, that's why we seek knowledge, experiential knowledge, which comes through action, not just faith and belief in some fictional Jewish superhero set up for the conquering of the nations. I know this is tough. This isn't giving me that feel good flowers and butterflies and rainbow talk that I need to go into this week. It's a fucking reality check, my friends. In some traditions, in Gnosticism, they teach that we are in fucking hell. And the only way to not see that is to be totally blind to the suffering of others and ourselves. And we seek to answer that suffering by numbing ourselves and running away from it, hiding it. We do that through all types of escapism. The ego doesn't want to die. But we must pick up the cross and go up the hill of Capricorn. Sacrifice ourselves. That wants fame, fortune, and for ourselves, for our ego. And we die in our own self-service, and we are born into the service of all, because we realize how we are all connected, all therefore equal, all endowed with dignity, all of humanity, and the animal world, and the vegetable world, and the mineral world. The Gnostic traditions teach that we've been in those levels of existence before we got to this one. Our bodies at least have. And also that things are conscious on the human level, hopefully, the animal level, the vegetable level, the mineral level. We're agnostic in some ways, in that we veer away from making dogmatic statements. We have experienced dogmatism of religion, justifying us giving up our own sovereignty and just from progressing. But we also look to see dogmatism rear its ugly head in the science, schools, math, history. Just our own individual thinking patterns. A helicopter is going over my house. Okay, so we have the sun at the third degree of Aquarius. The moon just met there, planting a new seed in the future, the world to come, Aquarius, of which we're stepping into. Some argue it happened in 1962. There was a stellium in Aquarius. There's a bit of a stellium. We got some action going on there now because of the sun. Be of good courage, my friends. What do we do with such things as faith, hope, belief? Faith, let us have faith in ourselves, in the goodness of that's essential to each conscious creature, especially humans. Faith that the universe is ultimately tipped in our favor. I know sometimes that's hard. But faith, I mean, we have scientific proof that an attitude of gratitude helps one's mental psyche condition. Does just having a thankful attitude is conducive to a healthy psyche, and then therefore body, mind, world. So that gives us hope, right? I mean, what if it's like being an ungrateful prick? I mean, who wants to be around? Yeah. So it is good to give thanks. We give thanks. What do we get? Do we give praise? Because you know how, and worship, praise and worship. What does Aquarius do about praise and worship? Yeah, praise and worship, like to God, to good, beautiful, love, truth, words that we associate with what we've come to call God. The word God is another trigger word. I don't like to hear people use that word God. I cringe whenever I hear it. Other words used, source, which makes God seem not so personable or like personal. You know what? A personality? I mean, we have to get rid of our own personality. I know. And I love my personality. I mean, you're so funny. Everybody likes you. You make everybody feel so much better. Is that my personality? Or do I worship my own personality? These teachings, it's not just believe and call out a name and you don't have to answer for your actions. Now, perhaps let us call out to the Divine Mother to comfort us. What these teachings do, they accuse you. You start to be more critical of yourself as we try to know ourselves. That can be painful. It could lead to depression, which is just another sign of another ego. Demons that we create, which are legion. We're so offended. That is a sign of a very strong ego. identifying with something, and we all want to identify sexually with a million. We're so creating those are a bunch of demons, egos, identifications. Even we identify things that are seemingly good, a beautiful mother. But when we identify as just the mother of our child, pretty fucking limiting. How about we identify as a mother of all of humanity? That would be fucking Aquarian, shining bright. We are creating a body that we enter into to strengthen us, fortify us, so that we can move into the oceans of Aquarius, the life-giving waters, abundant in grace, clear in consciousness. That is the hope. When five fingers are like this separated, you just give a slap. But when brought together in one, it's a mighty fist. Bah! That's not how that goes. Because I've seen people get knocked out with a good slap. Get behind me, Satan! I'll backhand you, my. Satan is our ego dog. Does the Aquarian teach in life after death? That's where we go to agnosticism and syncretism, and we look to all the world's traditions that speak on such things as ultimate reality, purpose, meaning. These are things that we are interested in. Philosophy, science, metaphysics, biology especially. The more we learn about our own body, which turns out we don't know shit, really, the more we learn about reality. We also teach that sex is sacred, and that's my own. If you're not teaching that, then yeah, that's not cool. That's not Aquarian. Although Aquarian is thinking about, it is kind of like I've seen the water bearer be a female sign and a male sign. First of all, everything has two genders to it. We have male aspects in us and female aspects in us. Physically, we will express one more than the other. Alchemically, we want to combine them, which happens in sex to create life. So that happens on metaphysical levels, on atomic levels, up to through the macro levels. Interesting side note: the biggest explosion that we could produce is by splitting the smallest atom. That is something to reflect upon. All right, so let me give you a little bit of a feel good. We just had this new moon. So this is a new Aquarius type themed things in us in the world. What do we want to plant into the season of Aquarius, which we experienced with this new moon a day and a half ago. Let us plant the Aquarian Temple Church. All Souls Aquarian Temple Church is my full name. Because I have to try to throw out a net to get lots of people, which Aquarian is about. It's about the massive. So we're planting fresh new energy to revivify the Aquarian so that it might reach out to lots of people, because this is important. Because when we realize that the Bible is not historical, it's allegorical, and we take a historically critical approach to history to bring out the truth. Aquarian is about the truth, which is why it's related to Revelation and even the Apocalypse. Apocalypse meaning opening, April opens spring. Apollo opens Aphrodite. April open. And then the Apocalypse, the Cyclops. Opening up the third eye, bro. Really the first eye. Consciousness evolution. Individuation. Not individualization. But coming together, respecting each other's equality, while celebrating our uniqueness and individuality. Our uniqueness, our ability to create, consciously creating. So why is it? It's masculine because it's an air sign. Aquarius. But it's also in the waters, aqua, the waters of winter, which is feminine waters. So that's why it's kind of an androgynous being. The mind of Adam and the waters. Waters are always related to our sexual fluids and the womb. It's like the God going over the waters and fixing something into place. Fixed sign right in the middle of the season. The fixed signs, slapping it so hard, is the sacred, holy days. Which is why you'll see this as a sign for, excuse the light. As the sign for the church, the Cairo. Fixed days of the year, the middle of the fixed signs, and then the solstice. Top of the mountain, Capricorn, Pater, the father. Bottom, Cancer. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. And you flip that around, the solstices. The head of a bull, Taurus. The something of an eagle, Scorpio. The something of a lion, Leo. The something of a man, the son of man, Aquarius. The man, the fully developed man is what we're trying to be in Aquarius. Human. In Gnostic traditions, they say that we're just fucking intelligent animals still. And that they call us humans out of respect for what a human actually is, and out of hope that we might actually rise up out of our bestial nature. Put Capricorn down here. The winter solstice, summer solstice, Cancer. And that's how that would be with how I had the signs. The entrance of the gods the entrance of humans through the womb of Cancer. We have Christmas at the beginning of Capricorn. The entrance of gods. Oh, that's what they would have. Mithras was born in Capricorn. The 25th of December. This is the circle we're on. Here we have the Star of David. Oh, excuse my marker in that light. Whatever. Look up the Cairo and how the 6-pointed stars in there. Learning metaphysical stuff and bringing it all together. That's how we're syncretic. Aquarian. Who's an Aquarian? We're all Aquarians because we're living in this time. That's how it's all inclusive, which is why I use the word all souls. And also, there's a net that might sound familiar to like Catholic Christians who make up a big part of our population in the world. Aquarian, because that's the thing. It's the main thing. And that's there we sound a little bit new agey, even though there's nothing new about astrology. But then, so that's a net that reaches that people. And then the Aquarian, All Souls Aquarian, Temple Church. Again, church pushes people away, say Jewish people, Muslims, Indians, Buddhists, recovering Catholics, Christians. So when I use temple, they get brought in. But then when I use church, temple church for another ring to grab those people who are more comfortable with that verbiage. This language is so hard. There's so many traps set up in this language because their labels or identifications. We get lost in words. And we lose the spirit. All right, my friends. I'm going into Aquarius season. We're in it. All the planets are going direct. That's my arrow moving forward. This is what, dog, we are only here for a little while, perhaps. Let us use our time wisely. That's an Aquarian thing. Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn time. Let us also be solid and strong and be open to being a channel. During Aquarius season, it's like you get downloads, flashes of insights, the cosmic mind. Let us be the best humans. Let us fully become human and the best we can today and this week. This is signing off. Liam Jarrett with the Aquarian on the 23rd of the first month of 2023. I've been looking into the number 23, and I know I did a video on this already, on it being enigmatic. It really is. And it relates to Aquarianism, actually. Hang in there. So there's only 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, which come from Acadia, Phoenicia, Sumeria, together with Egyptian, and perhaps even some Norse, runic letters. Only 1 through 22 tarot cards. There is no 23rd. The 22nd letter is the seal, the Tav, the X, the fixed the alphabet into place with the last letter. It's a T, the cross. And now the 23 is beyond that. And they say that the 23rd letter in the Hebrew alphabet has been taken out and hidden. And that it'll reveal itself in the age of Aquarius and bring all the opposing teachings together into one. There's that bringing the male and the female together in one. Lovers, there are some traditions that hold that in the age of Aquarius is the age of the Messiah, the Moshiach. And in those traditions, it doesn't happen that we all come together and sing Kumbaya. They've interjected mass executions into this script in their scriptures, and they follow it like a script because I have a whole gang of people thinking that it's the word of God when it was written by men for very certain purposes. Propaganda. We see it done today. Now, we do find beautiful teachings, lots of them hidden below the surface, that are not so unique to just the Judeo-Christian, this Abrahamic tradition. Rather, we find the same stories going further back, the flood story, Atrahasis, the creation stories in Egypt, the idea of monotheism. And when we study critically, we'll find that even Judaism isn't as monotheistic as they would have us believe. Thinking that our ancestors were just a bunch of fools who thought that there was a bunch of gods and therefore they're primitive. Almost drew something. Shout out to this laser light I have against the stars, the spangled stars. I'm in America, love your country. I'm very critical of my country because I love it. I'm critical of Judeo-Christianity, Muslim, Abrahamic faiths because I love them. And I feel bad for them because I too was once stuck in that trap, indoctrinated into it. And then lots of us, when we get out of that trap, and then we're like, well, now what? Because there is such thing as consciousness and spirituality and more of this world that meets the eye, perhaps, and how to best navigate in it. And to power and coming together in community, even ceremony and services as such, looking for healing, looking for meaningful relation, looking for guidance, looking for comfort. That is what the Aquarian is seeking to offer to this world. Won't you join in that mission? Signing off.